Hey guys, what's up? It's Drew here, and today I wanted to bring you guys a quick video talking about resilience. Now, I think some of you might know or have heard that resilience was kind of changed. I'm not exactly certain if this was intentional or not because it wasn't mentioned in the most recent patch notes. However, there are some slight changes to resilience that affected some guns, not all guns, but some of them for sure. So thanks to the many people that helped with this and got in and helped me match up, we essentially got to emulate a private lobby by all matching up together in the Crucible and tested a lot of meta weapons, maybe some non-meta weapons, to see if the resilience values had changed in terms of what resilience levels would alter the TTK of certain weapons. We'll be taking a look at weapons and weapon archetypes that are most common in the current meta. I'm always one for anti-meta options, and I'm sure there's some hidden gems that got a buff maybe from this resilience change. However, without private matches and only being able to test like this, our time was very limited, and a lot of the time either way, resilience levels and what you want to be running with resilience is meant to counter what you're going to be seeing most of. So now I can start going down the list in terms of things we tested and saw resilience changes or maybe not for. So we tried the 110 hand cannons to start, and now these can 2 crit 1 body up to 3 resilience. Now previously that was 2 resilience. And of course, all resilience remains a 3-tap kill, otherwise to the head. The kill clip on Azimuth does 2-tap 2 resilience though. Next, we tried out the 140 RPM hand cannons, and these saw a pretty big benefit. So these can now 1 crit 3 body up until 9 resilience. This was previously 6 resilience where it stopped and became a 2 crit 2 body. Now you can 1 crit 3 body all the way up to 9. So this makes these hand cannons a much more enticing option. In regards to 150 RPM hand cannons, previously you used to be able to run 10 resilience and alter their time to kill to 3 crit 1 body instead of 2 crit 2 body, but now that does not happen. So 10 resilience no longer counters this, and the 150 hand cannons remain 2 crit 2 body across all resilience levels. Lightweight scouts like the Mida multi-tool stayed the same. I noticed at 4 resilience it was still a 4 crit 1 body time to kill, so not any change there. 450 RPM autos saw a slight change. Previously you could run 5 resilience to make them take 9 critical hits to kill. Now you have to use 6 resilience for that effect. As much as that's a bit of a downgrade now, there is a bit of an upgrade too, because previously you'd have to use 8 resilience to make auto rifles take 6 crit 4 bodies, so that's an extra shot in total, but now you can do that at 7 resilience. So 7 resilience is definitely the sweet spot to be countering those 450 autos. The precision SMGs as well as rapid fire pulses, so these are weapons like the Antiope and Darkest Before, have not seen any changes that I could notice in our time of testing. The kill requirements in terms of critical and body shots seem to be the same as before with all the different resilience levels. Burst sidearms see a slight change as well. 2 resilience previously was a 5 crit 3 body, now it's a 6 crit 2 body, so 2 resilience counters burst sidearms even better than before. Otherwise, it seemed like it was all the same. In terms of Vigilance Wing, which is a little bit of an outlier right now, 10 resilience stops its 2 burst capability, which is interesting. However, that isn't entirely common to be happening anyways, and its 3 bursts still can't be stopped by any resilience levels. It will still 3 burst to the body, the same for that 1.3 second time to kill. So I guess the question that we're at now and we find ourselves with is, what resilience levels do we want to be running now? For me, I think 2 resilience is the sweet spot, and that's for a few reasons. 2 resilience seems to add some critical shots to most weapons and counter enough things so that I'm not getting melted nearly instantly. I'm sure someone can make a case for 0 resilience and why you can be successful with that, but for me, I just want a little bit of protection there, and 2 resilience actually counters quite a few weapons on our list. Darkest Before sees a change at 2 resilience. Sidearms see a change at 2 resilience. The Antiope also sees a change at 2 resilience. So there's actually a few weapons here that do take a change at 2 resilience. But the thing is with the resilience now is it actually takes a lot more resilience than before, a lot more resources. So like you have to be running high resilience to be able to counter a lot of weapons in the way that you would before, and I just don't think that's entirely worth it for some of these weapons. I don't think it's worth the potential resources you have to put towards it. We also have to think that resilience is going to affect single shot weapons far more than fully automatic weapons or even burst weapons. And well, let's take a look at the hand cannons again. 110's got a buff, 140's got a buff, 180's got a buff, and 150's got a buff. That's literally every hand cannon archetype performs better after this resilience change, especially 140's. Look, they went from being countered at 6 resilience to 9 resilience now. Now 150s can't be countered at all. So these are the weapons that you'd be debatably affecting the most with your resilience changes, and they're not being affected nearly as much or take just a lot more resources to affect. Adding one bullet or an extra critical shot onto an auto weapon's time to kill requirements like the 450 autos at 7 resilience might be nice, but you have to realize it's a fully automatic weapon. They can just keep shooting, and worst cases you're only changing that time to kill by just a few milliseconds maybe. It's not really making a massive change. Like we talked about, you can even say sidearms at 6 resilience, or the NTP at 6 resilience, or even Hero's Burden at 6 resilience. See some interesting time to kill changes, but again, those are like fully auto weapons or very, very fast fire rate weapons in terms of bursts. So you're not really going to be altering the TTK of these guys too drastically at the end of the day. I think hand cannons, scout rifles, those are the main things that are going to see a difference from resilience. And well, I mean, now they don't really see much of a difference. I think the case with resilience now is it's a lot more of an all or nothing mentality. It's either you're going to go fully spec into it, or just don't do it at all. Go really low. Like I said, 2 resilience I think is pretty sufficient. Yeah, console users, you might be a little more susceptible to MIDA. Realistically, I don't think it's worth the expense in terms of what it's going to cost you in mobility and what it's going to cost you into recovery as well. Before we get into that though, we also have to talk about the fact that they buffed cooldowns in the cooldown mod, so those are definitely something that you want to be running now, potentially at least. And of course, using resilience is going to take up your ability to use those mod slots for cooldowns, which could be a little bit more impactful at this point. So going back to how I said resilience is more of an all or nothing case now, and how that's going to affect your other choices, so your recovery choices and your mobility choices. Firstly, like I said, I don't even think that going for the all-in approach on resilience is that big of a deal, but here's why you might want to do it. So I mentioned previously that recovery doesn't see a big difference between the levels of 3 and 7. So that means you could go for whatever level in mobility, 10 resilience, and 3 recovery, or like 4 recovery, something along those lines. So what I'm saying essentially is the only reason you want to go for really high resilience is if you aren't going for a reasonable amount of recovery, because again, you're not going to see a big difference between the levels of 3 to 7 recovery. So if you're not hitting 8 recovery, then you might as well just go into really high resilience, or maybe even really high mobility, and just use your resilience slots for mod cooldowns. But on the other end of things, and this is where I sit, is I go for really low resilience, 2 resilience, and that gives me all the points in the world to put into recovery, in which I have 9 of, and then everything else into mobility. So I'm hitting really high recovery, which is debatably more important now because they altered the spawn systems to make people spawn quicker, which means you need to recover faster to stay in the fight or not get killed really quickly. So recovery is debatably more important. They buffed mobility so that it's more impactful as well, so I can go into now essentially really high recovery and a decent amount of mobility, and even have space for some mod cooldowns. Currently on my personal 100 that I play most of the time, I'm running about 5, maybe 6 mobility, 2, maybe 3 resilience, and the only reason I'd run 3 resilience is because I use Aeon Swift, which gives you an extra point anyways, and then 9 or 8 recovery. And I'm either running 8 or 9 recovery based on if I'm using 2 mod slots for grenades or just 1. In fact, with that setup, I always have a kinetic counterbalance mod as well. So what I'm saying is, instead of putting all those resources into resilience, which is kind of meh right now, like kinda good sorta, you could just be putting it into a bunch of things that would be a lot more impactful, like high recovery, good mobility, cooldown mods, kinetic mods, whatever it might be. The only thing that gets truly lethal, I think, when you're running low resilience, like 2 resilience, are the high impact hand cannons, which aren't too popular, and especially the kill clip ones, like Azimuth, which again are more of an anti-meta option. But in terms of meta options, the adaptive SMGs, like the Hero's Burden, and like the Risk Runner. Both of these are pretty damn lethal against 2 resilience. They only change at around 4 resilience or 6 resilience, and they'll have a 1-second body time to kill on you, which is, again, pretty lethal. But like I said, it's an auto weapon. Even changing the time to kill on that isn't really drastically altering. Anyways, guys, this video went a lot longer than I anticipated, as they usually do, so I'm sorry about that. I hope you enjoyed it, though. I'm sorry for the little hiatus. I'm waiting for the DLC to do a lot of different reviews and see how things change. I think a lot of people are just waiting for that right now. and we only got less than a week to go before that comes out. So I'm really excited. The exotic balancing update has me all tons of hyped, and the strategies that are going to come up and the reviews I'm going to get to do, I'm really excited for it, and I hope you guys are as well. Sorry for the voice being raspy and kind of cracking a lot in this video. I've kind of lost my voice, so forgive me for that as well. As always though, thank you so much for watching, guys. It's been Drew here, and I'll catch you guys later.